All right. That was quite a good run for Stray from Xenos. Uh, I was in the back room. I was eating my sandwich, shooting the breeze with the boys in the break area. I haven't gone anywhere. I'm still in the same chair in my home office. But metaphorically, shooting the breeze with the boys. And the boys have told me that Mega Man Extreme 2 is one heck of a run, and that I should be really excited for it. So if you haven't seen it, that's okay. I haven't seen it either. And we are going to watch it together and enjoy the ride that is Mega Man Extreme 2. We are not quite ready yet. We're still doing a little bit of setup here, but hope you guys are ready for it, and I hope that you guys have been having a great SDAT so far. I almost said GDQ because I feel like that's the classic hosting words. Hope you guys are having a great GDQ so far. We've seen some amazing runs. We really have seen some amazing runs. I been really loving this marathon. I wish I could catch even more of it, even more of the time. But you know how it is. We got some other stuff to do. But I have caught as much as I could, and every minute that I've caught, I have enjoyed. Did you know that if you have missed any of the runs, that first of all, almost all of weekend one is already up on YouTube, and I'm sure the rest of the marathon will be on YouTube on Speed Docs Extras. Just go to YouTube, type in search bar Speed Docs Extras. You'll find their backup channel or their secondary channel for that kind of stuff, and you'll be able to watch all of the VODs from the marathon. I've been enjoying over the last week when I was at work and my lunch break. I've just pulled up a VOD and just watched it while eating pizza or whatever I ate, tacos, whatever. Here over on the Eastern time zone, we are we're getting close to dinner time. On the West Coast, we're probably on the lunchtime. If you're anywhere else in the world, I don't know what time it is. But what are you guys looking forward to for food today? Anybody got some interesting food happening? Yesterday I had Indian food for the first time in a while. Clocky, I don't. Why? How do you manage this? How do you keep up with the life of uh, trying to be on the American schedule when you are like 13 hours ahead, 14 hours ahead? You are a clock, okay. And Xenos, I have put some of the marathon runs on while I was working, but then sometimes I get like the hyper focus on whatever I'm doing, so then I miss things that are happening in the run because I'm actually doing work, and it's I have to like rewind. So most of the time I just end up watching it during lunch. But I suppose that's better than getting sucked into the video and then not doing work, huh? I am a programmer, so I actually work from home. If you were watching the Sammy run earlier, which I encourage you to go back and watch, uh, you probably saw a Mac in the background, and that Mac is my work computer. Speaking of going back and watching things, whatever runs that you have enjoyed or go back and enjoy, be sure to follow the runners. And this isn't just me self-advertising, as much as it is. I do want you to follow me if you enjoyed me, but all of the other runners are great people too. I don't know if there's been a single runner here at the marathon that I've gone, man, that guy kind of, yeah, you know. CJ does a great job of vetting the runners and the commentators and everybody else that's involved with the marathon. So if you want to support somebody for doing a good job here and just supporting them with your time via uh, following them and watching them, hanging out, that is a great idea. And it's free to follow somebody. So go do that. Xenos, you definitely did not slip through the crack. You were let through 100%. All right, it looks like a couple of you guys are excited about the Mac. I am not excited about the Mac. If I had to get a new work computer, I'm 100% saying, can I get just a Windows PC, please? Because half of my team has Windows and half of my team has Mac. And the Windows peeps always seem to have less troubles. Yes, I do, Funyuns. I definitely just muted my mic real quick to take a drink of water and spilled it all over myself. I'm glad that I'm not on camera. You guys will be making fun of me to heckin' back. Now, we actually end up remoting into Windows servers to do our work. But the rest of I mean, it's done on a Mac. So. At least it was just water, you know? If I had spilled, like, tea on myself, it's more sticky, stains things. Let's see what we got coming up here. Tell you more about the marathon instead of just chatting. So up next we obviously have the Mega Man Xtreme 2 run, but there is a bonus run from that for the boss attack mode. We've met that incentive already, so that's gonna be fun. After that, we got CJ's Prize Corner, featuring CJ, revealing and showing off prizes. And then after that, we got Dayman with Clue. That's gonna be a fun little adventure. Very fun. Be sure to check that one out. And then this evening, as we get further into the night, after my shift of hosting, I'm with you all the way through that. After my shift, there's gonna be Untitled Boost Game, and then Crash 3 and Spyro 3. So, Crapro Brock. Saying Crapro just ruined my ability to speak. I don't know how you guys do it. Crapro Block is going to be phenomenal at the end. Both those games very fun to watch. And Clocky is going to be rounding out the night with that Spyro 3 run. So make sure to give that a watch because Clocky is always entertaining. In the meantime, uh, y'all should be donating because there are some bonus runs and bonus content to unlock for the rest of the night still. For instance, that clue run or the clue experience, I don't know exactly what's going on there. Uh, but for that clue round, couple rounds with the Speed Docks crew and stuff, there is a bonus round incentive. And that's at $66 out of 200. I'd love to see some more money donated towards that. Then in about 4 hours, we have Untitled Goose Games Glitch Exhibition. Uh, and we're at $57 out of $100 for that. So we're getting pretty close on that one, a little bit further on the Clue one. So make sure you go donate towards Clue. Clue is it's going to need some help. So make sure get your donations in on that. Meanwhile, on the polls side, Coco versus Crash for who we're playing as in Crash 3 has gone more significantly skewed towards Coco. It is now $229 for Coco versus $195 for Crash. I'm a Coco fan myself, so I would advise you to continue putting Coco further in the lead so there's no last minute snipes. But I will inform you that when you donate, you can select a target and a poll. So that means, let's say you wanted to see Clue and Crash, you can select Clue as your target, and you can select Crash as your poll. Crash Cludicoot. I don't like how that sounds coming out of my mouth. Crash better, plus L, plus ratio, plus Coco sucks. Plus lasagna. Here's a cool thing. If you like this marathon and you would like to keep up with all the other things going on with Speed Docks and the crew, you can type in !Discord into the chat and get the link to the Speed Docks server. That will give you all the latest information. You will get the up-to-date access to everything that you can do, and when the new marathons are accepting submissions, all that good stuff. I mean, that's how I find out next time the submissions open, so I can submit games like Super Sammy Roll and Chameleon Twist. Oh, and it looks like we have just received a donation. Love seeing that. and it's from Xenos360. I feel like I recognize that name. For $20, saying, "Had a blast doing my run for the first time at an event. Big thanks to the to SStat for giving me the opportunity. Thanks, Quill, for keeping me company." Heart. Thank you so much for the donation, Xenos. I had a great time with you. Xenos being one of the largest donors of this event. Great guy. Huge fan of that guy. And for a first run in a marathon, you did fantastic, bud. I hope to see you come back and do some more. Next SStat, a Splatoon 3 speedrun? Maybe even launch party? If there's another launch party? I don't think that's announced or anything. Just assume. Anyways, that donation went towards the Clue bonus round and also put Crash back in contention with Coco. It is now 229 for Coco and 215 for Crash. Very, very close. Pulled all the equity out of your house. Oh no. Seems worth it. Baki, I do want to see Farming Simulator 2019 in every marathon. You know what's cool? That $20 that Xenos donated, that's going towards Save the Children. And Save the Children does a lot of work. For instance, $30, just $30, can buy malaria pills for 50 children to help secure their healthcare, safe shelter, and legal services for a survivor of gender-based violence. I just, literally yesterday, my wife told me that somebody that she knew from high school was in Nigeria and was bit by a mosquito and got malaria. And the access to pills, from malaria pills, for those that are less fortunate than somebody like her, is she might be unfortunately sick with that malaria, but some of these children didn't have access to the ability to get the pills like she did. And we need to make sure that we can help out children however we can so that they have as much of a chance at life as the rest of us that are more fortunate do. You know what the worst part about hosting is, guys? I can't hear the cool music in between. Like if I turn on the stream audio, I'm just going to hear my voice like with a 3-second delay, and I will not be able to talk through that. That would be awful. But I can't hear this cool audio that we got the whole time. It's even worse when you can't hear the game. A lot of these games have sick soundtracks that I just want to hear. I just can't hear it. I cannot wait for Clocky to describe it to me. I'm down for Quo to make a music bot, so we have the audio. Yo, are we listening to Darude Sandstorm? Oh, you're right. You're right. The Doots and the Duns, they got me. It's hard to tell the difference sometimes. So, for these long stretches of needing something to talk about, I have a joke book from my wife's childhood. 2004 is the copyright date on it. You guys want to hear a joke? It's a children's joke book. It's called Lil Book o' Big Laughs. See, I would have been 7 and 8 in 2004. Here we go. We got a clocky themed joke here. What do you get if you cross a monster with a kangaroo? You get big holes in Australia. What do pigs do when they play basketball? They hog the ball. And with that, we are ready to get started on this next run. So I'll send you over to an intermission, or a bumper right before we get into it.
Hi everyone, hope you're enjoying SDAT 2022 so far. My name is Gaffy Taffy, and I've been a host and runner for several Speed Docs related events. I started speedrunning and streaming at the beginning of COVID lockdowns and have fallen in love with the scene. Although I've run quite a few games in my time, I'm largely known for my time spent in the Crash Bandicoot HD games and Hollow Knight. Lately I've been found running the daunting 112% completion category. My passion project has been my podcast series After the Split. This is a deep dive interview show featuring speedrunners of all calibers. Notably, I've had CJ, Hypnoshark, and Hammerhead Labs on. This show can be found on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or pretty much any other podcast source. I hope that you'll check that and my personal channel out on Twitch and YouTube. Thank you a bunch.
Выстрелы снарядов нас разбудили ночью. Это были страх и паника, безысходность.
And with that, I like to do it where whenever he does dives, I like to do that old GDQ thing where we go 1, 2. There we go.
All right, guys, here we are without any ados. 0 ados are happening currently. Take it away, Tempest.
Oh, heck yeah. Hello, my friends and fellow gamers. My name is TempestMask1000, and welcome one and all to Mega Man Xtreme 2, also known as Rockman X2 Solar Racer. This is my very debut speed game, as in the very game that I started speedrunning with, and today I am joined by a very good friend of mine that I met very early on, and I've been so honored to know. And he is also the current world record holder for the Xtreme 100% category. Focus, introduce yourself.
Hello everyone, my name is Focus Sipe, you can call me Focus. Some of you may recognize me from the recent SGDQ 2022 run of this very same game. I was the runner for Mega Man Xtreme 2, Xtreme Mode 100%, and I did all the commentary for that run as well. I'm very excited that the game has gotten more showings ever since then, and people have been more aware of it. This is a Game Boy Color title from 2001. Which it's not a ROM hack, it is a real Capcom-made title. Capcom just knew what they were doing on the Game Boy Color, and I'm very, very, very excited to see us run here through Xtreme No Credits Warp with Tempest. I know he's going to do great.
Heck yeah. So before we start off the run, we're going to just quickly show off the options. It's something of a bit of a tradition, if you will. And basically how it works is the top one is what the select button will do. So that's set to scramble change. This will act as a character swapping mechanic, which Focus will get into. And then we also have rapid fire turned on and auto charge turned off. Those only apply to X. Keeping that in mind, though, that's basically all we need to know. And with that, let's have our wonderful host do the countdown. You ready?
Absolutely. Get started in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, take it away,
All
Focus.
right. So, the first thing we begin with is text. We are playing on the Japanese version because the text is reduced, the amount of characters are reduced, so it's faster to go through by about a minute. Hold A or start just to get through the text really quickly. But aside from that, what exactly is Mega Man Xtreme 2? So the game takes place in between Mega Man X3 and Mega Man X4. So that's why Iris is here in the introduction cutscene. We are investigating an island called Lagoose Island, which has been home to very weird readings, high levels of DNA souls, or the energy that essentially keeps Reploids as the human-robot hybrids they are. We figure out later through this that there are two rogue investigators at the Reploid Research Laboratory here that wish to use the DNA souls for evil, to power themselves up and revive former bosses in order to take control of the world. And it is up to us to stop them, and it's definitely not Sigma. Could never be Sigma.
Nope, not at all. Not this time. Can't be. He was destroyed by Dr. Doppler.
Why would it be? We have Mega Skeletor here instead. So this is the intro boss. His name is actually Skullhead. But I know that Tempest very much likes saying Mega Skeletor.
I grew up with...
why we don't...
There you go. Go ahead. I'll explain why in the...
Yeah, we'll talk about it later, but part of the reason why we use we don't have charge shots on at the moment, or auto charge on, is because it will result in invincibility frames. It will flash the screen and you can't do anything about that. Same with Zero's jump slash. So using X's base buster shot, which is 2 HP per hit, you can wail on it really quickly, especially if you get a certain cycle there at the start. So, now that we're on to another cutscene here, about 50 seconds, I just want to mention a few things regarding movement in this game. You saw Tempest whizzing through there as X. None of that was done with the help of a dash button. There is no dash button in this game. There was in the first game. It was start, if in case you wanted to do something really fun with your weekend, press start to dash. But there are 3 main ways of dashing in this game that are really notable. First is called command dashing or double tap dashing. Double tap left or right, you can jump out of it. It goes the longest, but it's hardest to spam. You then have down A dashing, kind of like sliding in the classic titles. You can hold that down for the duration, but you can't jump out of it. So it's really good on straightaways, but nothing else. And thirdly, you get air dashing occasionally. You have it from the beginning as 0, but only as an unlockable as X, which we will get. And using all 3 of these types of dashing, air dashing is done by double tapping A, by the way, is the most effective way to move in this game. It almost is like playing a fighting game as a result. And it's really fun once you get down to it. It's a bit of a learning curve, but it's really good for the platform. Now, we have just went to the part shop and bought ourselves a part. That part is Zero Saber +1. Zero Saber +1 gives additional hit point of damage to every single one of Zero's base techniques, none of the ones we get from bosses, unfortunately. So our Jump Slash, which normally does 3 damage, now does 4. That will come in handy for bosses and such throughout this run. Now, in No Credits Warp, we don't get every single armor capsule. We only get stuff we really need, but we do get some things for safety. There are heart tanks, like the one we got at the very beginning, to give additional health to Zero. We got the sub-tank there, which stores health for later. And we are going to get the armor capsule in the next stage by using the technique we get from this one. So Tempest is going through here and keeping quite cautious of his health, especially because we don't get everything in this run like we would in 100%. Although the routing is more or less the same in terms of stage order, we have to be a bit more precautious with everything. So these are instant kill spikes. We want to make sure that we don't hit them on the elevator. It can be a bad time if you do, but if you do happen to die in a stage, those pillars, those platforms that flash white when you go through them, are actually auto-save points, which means you can reload, we can reset the game and reload to that, and it's still a valid run, in case everything happens. Now, here is the first boss, and probably the hardest one to deal with. This is Wire Sponge. For Wire Sponge, we want to ensure that he does this attack where he gets into the air, because he has a Desperation attack. And the Desperation attack means that he cannot actually be hit if he's at lower than 12 points of HP. Every jump slash does exactly 4 points of HP. So we can do 5 jump slashes, and then we need to just wait for him to go back up, or else, ooh, unfortunate. But you get full health, and that's the reason why you picked up the life in the first place over there. So yeah, just to reiterate, 32 HP for every boss, 32 HP, and a jump slash does 4 HP. We need to get minimum 3 jump slashes before he starts that move where he then goes up into the top of the screen. Otherwise, you can't actually finish him in time.
Oh, dang it. All right, I gotta switch to X because unfortunately I accidentally passed that HP threshold, but that's okay. And then, let's see here. I'm gonna, this is not a good scenario actually, because in that case, we're trying to get a certain technique for Zero here, and if I kill him as X, then there's no shot at it, so yeah, let's try this again. He's giving me a lot of, you know what, one more death can't possibly hurt.
We're safe here at the beginning, but if the host has anything to announce, we got a good 30 seconds or so.
Not too much to announce donation-wise, but it is always good to shout out that we are taking donations for Save the Children marathon, a charity made for helping children, as the name implies. Be sure to get your donations in, and I would be happy to read them.
Nice job, Tempest.
Thank you.
Very clean at the end. Took a few tries, but Wire Sponge can be like that. It's probably the single most difficult boss, and we'll see why as we get into this next stage. So, we're gonna get another part here coming up. We're going to try to get something called Energy Saver. And just for reference, these parts act like the ones in Mega Man X5 or Mega Man X6, except we use the health and weapon upgrades or health and weapon drops that we get throughout the stages to purchase them. Certain ones only unlock once you've gotten enough souls in total. The individual pellets are 4, the doubles are 8, and the triples are 16. Sometimes through RNG they can be 12, which is weird, but it happens. And you get 200 for every boss you defeat. So we've used that as routing, but we don't need to collect all of them. Not even in 100%. They're considered like additional benefits.
Basically,
it's separate.
Right.
But as we can see here, we are trying our best to avoid damage where possible. Some damage boosting is helpful, which is why we're going to get another armor part later for Zero. We're going to get 2 for him, and we're going to get 1 for X. The one in this section here, which we get to use the right armor, you can exit it by holding up and jump. You don't take damage to yourself in the right armor, which is good for if you need to like heal up again. We're going to use lightning here. We have to use lightning, otherwise we can't actually get through this. If you got X's ability instead, that wouldn't break these blocks and you could not get this upgrade. This is the arm parts. The arm parts give Zero the ability Zero Final. Now, normally Zero Final is a move where you can only use it once, and it's supposed to be a screen clearing move if used in the stage, or it deals 10 HP of damage to your average Maverick. But because we have Energy Saver, which reduces all weapon energy use by half, we can use that ability twice, which in our case makes every single boss strategy from here on out extremely consistent and simple. We are going to use Zero Final twice and do 3 jump slashes. Zero Final twice gives us 20 HP, the remaining 12 HP are done by those 3 jump slashes, and there you go. That will basically be the strategy for all the Mavericks going forward, not necessarily all the bosses, as we're going to see. So this section here, I should mention very, very clearly, flashing lights warning for the entire game here. This game has a lot of flashing lights. It's built for a platform that didn't have a backlight, and I recommend if you are, if you have photoepileptic seizures or you are photosensitive in any form or way, that you watch with caution or don't watch at all. I will make sure to alert people on these things. So we're not going to get to Tunnel Rhino here. Tunnel Rhino can do a few things, but the easiest way to see is that you can immediately menu to Zero Final by just pressing pause, right, and then unpausing. And then you can see exactly what he's going to do, which makes it pretty safe as an approach. We need to do 3 jump slashes.
Oh, shoot, this looks a bit dangerous.
You can do this. You can do it. Come on.
Come on. One more. Oh, thank God. So what I accidentally did there was that was a normal slash, and as Focus mentioned, that doesn't do as much damage as the jump slash, so obviously that was a little dangerous because he had like a pint of health left, and I kind of scared myself.
No, that was a clutch save, I will say. I never would have thought to swap to X. I would have just been like, oh, I'm dead. Because that's really good, honestly. That was really good thinking outside the box. Yeah, you want to make sure you're doing a jump slash, because regular slashes only do 2 damage, and then 3 with the part equipped.
Exactly.
This is Berkana, by the way. Berkana is the only villainess in the mainline X games, so shoutouts to her. We're now going to go into Volt Catfish's stage. So Volt Catfish is weird in this game. Volt Catfish it's got the music, it's got the boss, but the stage itself, it's got like 70% of the music, actually. It doesn't have one of the best parts of the song, weirdly.
And I would imagine that's because of the Game Boy's sound limitations and stuff, so they had to make some sacrifices. Still good covers,
it's
though.
It's weird. Weird only that it's only for this one. All the other ones are full, as far as I'm aware.
Not entirely, but that's a story for another day.
So with this section, we're actually, for those of you familiar with Mega Man X3, this is actually based off of Toxic Seahorse's stage, not actually based off of the stage in Mega Man X3 for Volt Catfish. It's a very strange choice, but it also just doesn't... A lot of the stages in Xtreme 2 are loosely based off of their former stages. Very few are like direct recreations. The X1 bosses are pretty much direct recreations. The X2 ones are with some liberties, and the X3 ones tend to be the most different. So for instance, this stage, well, the part up here with the waterfall is reminiscent of a section from Toxic Seahorse. It's not exactly like Toxic Seahorse, as we're going to see through here. By the way, most important part for X we just got, foot parts. Gives him the air dash, also gives him the up dash. So if you double tap A and hold up, he can basically up dash. Anyway, we're going to use the up dash here to damage boost and skip a section, which is really cool because otherwise you wouldn't be able to skip that wave cycle. And it saves you some time. Another flashing lights warning, by the way, because we're now going to get into the electric water, which instantly kills people, and it will flash yellow and blue. But if we do this correctly, Tempest should be able to get through this in one cycle. We don't have to get the heart tank at the bottom left here, so we can just go right ahead, take damage boost off this wall cancer, and yeah.
It's a little scary to do, but honestly, it's always worth it because you know that those wave cycles, they just take a little too much time, and we want to go fast in a speed run. I mean, obvious saying, but yeah. Now for Volt Catfish, though, I'm going to switch to Zero in a second, but this guy is definitely a hard fella to face without, like, a proper strat. His actual weakness is the Ray Claw from X, technically the Rising from Zero, but whatever you get from Neon Tiger. The thing about what makes him easy in the X mission fight, though, is that anytime you hit a boss with X's weapon that is their weakness, they will go into a stun lock animation. Anything from Zero, it will not do that, so sometimes you like to keep these things in mind. There is, however, a special little thing that we're going to do to one of the bosses that isn't his weakness, but will involve that Ray Claw weapon, a little later on. For now, though, let's
Yes.
get back to action.
We're now going on to what I think is my personal favorite stage, which is Blast Hornet. Blast Hornet is very unique in this game because A, it's not directly based off the stage in Mega Man X3, which was just a boring air base. Instead, you got these Spycopters, the ones from the start of Mega Man X3, here with you, and they're so cool because they just make a bunch of platforming segments, and it's also using the better music from the PlayStation 1 version of Mega Man X3,
Which is also
makes
playable.
the stage a lot better.
Yeah, it's also playable, by the way, for the Mega Man X collection for GameCube and PlayStation 2, so if anyone would like to get those versions, highly recommend.
Yeah, the PS1 and Saturn version, the 32-bit version of Mega Man X3 is a very strange game, in that it still retains its 16-bit graphics, but it's different music and cutscenes. We have a nice little skip here using the up dash, because we can ride this platform up, because it just switches from up to down, and skip the entire platforming section to our left. Using Drill Crush, which is the technique from Tunnel Rhino, super useful against grounded enemies because of your invincibility frames moving forward. We're going to also use it to destroy this wall, and specifically, this capsule's gotten mainly to allow Zero to be even more of a tank. It reduces all damage Zero takes by half, and it's right here, so it's worth getting. It doesn't do much more than that, though. A lot of the Zero armor parts in this game are pretty basic. Like, I think the head and foot parts literally just allow you to break blocks and nothing else.
Yeah, kind of like carryovers from X's first armor from X1. But now we got Blinker Wall. This guy is very easy to handle in extreme mode because the difference between it and the X and Zero missions is that in Zero mission you only see one light blink at a time, but in extreme mode they have two at a time, so it makes it a practically easier target and less RNG. I do know though
You
that
are so reduced for having just gotten the perfect RNG on that. You were just like so casual.
I know, right?
I've never gotten that RNG.
I know, and there's a good reason why one of our best runners, Poisson, hates that mini boss too. So
It is very much so. It can and will often take a lot out of you because that was a really good Blast Hornet, by the way. Surprised
know.
it didn't shoot these at the beginning.
yeah,
No, so the reason why that mini boss is so annoying is because it is one of the genuine instances of just strong RNG in the game. It is probably one of the most, and it can waste a lot of time, especially, we usually just wait on the left for some of the blinkers to come on and do their thing, and then it will just shoot both of them on the right like 7 times in a row. It's done that for me, so painful. We have Overdrive Ostrich next. Overdrive Ostrich is largely an auto-scroller, using the same sort of ride chaser segments as are in Mega Man X5, even though the ride chaser here is supposed to be based off the one in Mega Man X2. So we start off with that. You want to press up to attack, otherwise if you press attack to attack, you might get stuck and be unable to jump. And we now get to probably one of the more difficult sections in the game, in my opinion, because we're going to use damage boosting as Zero to get through these instant kill tornadoes. It is significantly faster if we do this, so let's see.
that was an accident. That was a major accident. That's never happened before.
That's all right. So yeah, you can see instant kill. So you need to be very careful about, you know, how you're taking damage and how you're moving. Probably the most like tight segment in the game, in my opinion. And yet the hardest part, in my opinion, is after these 4.
I missed that
wait.
one. Yeah, I figured. That's the weird part too. The sound effects and the glowing arrows are not necessarily in time with the actual generations of those. I like to call them sandstorm tornado generators. So you know, it do be weird that way. It do be weird that way.
It is very odd, but we're just going to do the other auto-scroll here. We're going to fall down and get the heart tank because it's really simple. The boss here is pretty self-explanatory. Based off the one in X2, it could sometimes go into the background. We want to kill it before it does. So if we have any more donations or anything to announce about the marathon, feel free to go right ahead.
Sure, absolutely. In addition to saving the children, we're supporting our boys at Speed Docks that are putting on this great marathon. And did you know that new for this year, you can go to sdat.live for all the links you need to make a donation, check the schedule, or see the raffle prizes. Great place, it's a great site, it's very easy to use, so highly recommend.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Quill.
you so much. Perfect pattern for that, by the way. Really good pattern. Typically, you just want him to walk over, and then you want him to jump so he then stays in place. That was brilliant. Really good luck.
One thing
And
that
good
we have,
execution, of course.
yes, one thing we have not seen yet is something called fast text, by the way. It's a thing that we haven't fully figured out, but basically, you'll note that the weapon gets screen text. I can't scroll through that, but then there's some instances where the game actually does it. It's not that big of a time save, but we do like to see it, so in case it happens, well, now you know why.
Yeah, I have a theory, a working theory, and I predictively stated this earlier, which is kind of funny. In a practice run, I think getting hit the same frame that you defeat a boss might be the culprit. And it just might be like an additional input left over from the hit carrying over onto the next screen. Seems to be that every time that I get fast text, I got hit within the recent vicinity of it. But there could be other factors that, aren't as predictable. Anyway, this stage is very fun to go through. And one of the weirdest things about it that we failed to mention as yet is that the music is wrong. Is just completely wrong, completely off. This is actually Launch Octopus's theme, which is the water stage. And when we get to Launch Octopus later, yes, that will be Flame Mammoth's theme, the fire stage in the water stage. So the reason for that is unknown, but it was fixed in the international release. So it's exclusive to the Japanese version. We now have Flame Mammoth. Functions very similar to the X1 boss. Very similar. A very faithful recreation of that.
Looks like he told us that he was an elephant at least one time. Shoutouts to Clipper, in case you don't get that reference.
So, going from here, we then go on to Neon Tiger. Neon Tiger is actually the first stage you would do an X mission. So, if it hasn't been clear yet, there are two missions that are technically the original missions in this game. They are X mission and Zero mission. They both are incomplete halves of an incomplete whole. So X mission, it does 4 Mavericks and finishes with Burkana. Zero mission does the other 4 Mavericks and finishes with Gareth. This mode is a bit more difficult, adds the ability to swap freely between X and Zero, which we've mentioned that that's a bit a feature we've been using, but it is the first time that it's ever been used this freely in an X game. It did exist in X3, but not really freely. You could switch to Zero once and then had to switch back before the end of the stage. And of course, it was later fully introduced in Mega Man X7 in 2003. So that is where most people think it originates from, but no, it's from this game. And that's exactly knowing how to swap is super important.
Indeed, because you also got to understand that the game does freeze for a little bit, so because that, using it a little bit prematurely can cost you a little bit of time. It's a good mechanic, very helpful for this category especially. It's just that, sometimes things got to be certain things at certain moments. I say things. That's just how it be.
Yeah, so for specific reference, the way in which we handle the X and Zero missions essentially are as their own categories. Extreme mode is also the full game. It has the true ending. So you will always get the full ending in this game. It's a fully fledged Mega Man X title on Game Boy Color, which is just wildly impressive.
Absolutely. All right, Tiger time. So I need to defeat him as X proper because, again, that's how you get the Ray Claw. And as I hinted earlier during Catfish, we're going to need that for a certain boss. And in fact, it'll be our last Maverick stage too. So let's just try and get his health a little bit low because X was looking low too. Ooh, that's not fun. Hang on. One more should do it. Oh, come on. There we go. One more Ray Splash would have killed me there. That wouldn't have been fun.
Yeah.
Actually, I might even I'll take the safety death with those early spikes next stage.
Okay, that's totally fair. That will give you some additional lives back.
Yeah.
So if you lose all your lives in this game, you just get back a total of 2, which is actually 3 from the counter. There's also some really interesting menuing stuff. It's difficult to do, but you can actually hold an input on the white flash in between the screen and everything. And I do it sometimes as a way to buffer the selections I need. You can only do it one direction, can't do it both directions. So you can buffer towards Octopus, Sponge, and Mammoth by holding left, but you can't actually do anything more than that. But still, it's a thing to mention if you want to optimize things. We're now on to this stage, which is weird. Stage is very weird. Launch Octopus has some of the weirdest physics in the entire game, because we're dealing with an actual water thing and not just waves of water. So, underwater, your momentum is reduced in all aspects. I think the quickest way generally is to do down A dashing, because you can spam it very quickly. It gives the most consistent momentum going forward. But if you dash in the air and then go out, you can see, as Tempest has done there, including doing a momentum jump, you can actually store and maintain speed for later. And sometimes that speed means you go directly into a spike trap. It's fine. But yeah, so keeping the air, if you watch the TAS of this game, if you would keep the air momentum into the water continuously by doing what's called momentum jumps. Basically, if you jump a frame or two, like somewhere within the vicinity of landing, you will keep your momentum forward, but you won't actually, it will act as if you've just done an immediate dash jump right after. So you can't like do an air dash after doing a momentum jump. But it is technically the fastest way to move in the game, albeit it's not super consistent. Because of that, you can't always rely on it. But the Taz, of course, can do so.
Yeah.
We're now fighting Ouroboros? I'm trying to remember the name.
Close, Utuboros. I know it's a weird name.
Utuboros.
I'm not sure why they named it that, but hey, it is a bit unique. It does sound a little like Ouroboros.
Ute in Japanese, I think, is a type of fish.
Well, speaking of Japanese, we're about to make some calamari, so let's go ahead and go over that really quick.
Yeah, so we are going to use Rayclaw to basically tentacle Octopus here, which essentially means during this vulnerable state, we can just use the typical 3 jump slashes, 2-0 finals before he even gets a chance to attack again. If you don't do this, you have to deal with the fully powered Octopus, which does a lot of annoying invincibility attacks where you can't damage him and it pulls you towards him. This is by far the fastest way to get through it. And yeah, pretty clean 8 Mavericks overall, I would argue. After the start with
Sponge, yeah.
With Sponge, it was some really clean fights, some really clean stages. That icon looks weird.
Very weird. I think my eye was playing a trick on me just there.
What are my grandpas here?
Oh, you should have told me you were expecting company.
I didn't know, but anyways, so this is the start of the actual almost fully unique stages. So there's a bit here that's from, I think, one of the Sigma stages in X1 or 2 at the very start, which you saw Zero fall through. Because of how big his sprite is, if you try to land on top of one of the platforms there, the middle one, you'll just fall through, but you can air dash, so if you time it right, it's actually faster.
And whenever I
but
fail
the stage is more or less unique.
Yeah, whenever I fail that, I like to call that Butterfingers, but hey, not today. Let's go.
It sucks because you lose 20 seconds or something. Not like 20, like 10.
Yeah,
15.
at least.
But it still sucks. Using Drill Crush here on the stationary enemies to try to damage them really quick without, with the invincibility frames. Nice, that was a really clean platform movement. And now we get to everyone's favorite dog, Wolf, Creature, which is, the lovable... I mean, I don't know why Sigma's dog is here. That would be totally weird if Sigma was around. But this is, I'm forgetting, Velgarder. There we go. And Velgarder is actually easier to attack with Drill Crush at this point. And Drill Crush does 5 points of damage, if I remember correctly. Or
I think that's I don't know. I think that's technically his weakness. It's a little hard to remember that sometimes, but what we do know is that Zero Final or even a uber-powered X-Buster will be enough to take care of him. Really, the only time he's a bit of an issue is any %0 mission, I would say, because, well, I mean, when a dog's coming at you and you're a bit of a glass cannon and you're not necessarily taking the body armor with you, it can be that problematic.
Yeah, in any %0 mission, I don't believe. Do you get Zero Final?
I don't.
Yeah. So we're now going to do something called Platform Skip here. Very tight timing for the air dashes here. It's a little bit safer to do as X because X's air dash is oddly a bit longer. but you could still do it as 0. Be careful with wall jumps here, because now that you have the air dash, if you try to wall jump too soon, it will just result in X air dashing opposite the wall, which means that he can fall directly into one of these green lasers. These are instant kill, by the way.
There you go.
And the rest of this section, the only time that there's anything kind of glitchy in this game that doesn't result in a soft lock. There you go, everyone.
I know you like that
save
clip.
time. Well, it technically saves time, but it's technically still slower than having just gone through immediately. There you go. So yeah, this lead up here is pretty safe. Also, another flashing lights when I'm going to get the fire back. So just being careful.
Yeah, those things, those little floaty track things.
They have
are
a name.
very annoying.
They have a name. We just forget their name. They're in X3 as well.
Yeah. Tunnel Rhino, knock on wood.
Okay, so now we get to the most difficult boss here. The most difficult boss is this one. This is known as, colloquially called the Sphinx Tank. It's Izas and Zawilo. So what Tempest is going to try to do here is immediately jump forward and use Zero Final, and then take damage on something. I would only hit one of the faces.
Yeah, unfortunately, and he's looking a bit low on health. I'm just gonna take a moment and then do this, because that's why we have the sub-tank. Yay! Now, the thing about him is, or them, technically, because there's 2 faces, I like to think that there's 2 different individuals. The saber slashes will push the body back, which is very unique. But other than that, Drill Crush is the technical weapon weakness, so that very much helps to have that as 0 anyway.
Yeah. They are not actually, the 2 faces are not, you need to get the parts. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I know, I didn't forget.
So the 2 faces themselves each only take 6 points of damage to Zero Final, not our usual 10. But if you hit if Zero Final is in the range of both their faces, it will do 12 damage, which is even better. From there, you can actually either you can just jump slash them for 4, which will kill one of the faces, or use Drill Crush to get both of them in one fell swoop, which is easier. So we're going to equip some additional parts we bought. We waited to get these parts till now because some of them didn't unlock until we got, until we got 2,000 souls. That's namely Zero Saber +2, which does the exact same thing +1 does. It adds 2 points of damage to every base attack that Zero has. This stacks with +1 to give you 3 points of additional damage, and the same is true for X Buster 1 and 2. So now the base Buster for X, the little tiny pellets, do 5 damage, which is as much as the Shoto moves do on Berkana and on Sigma, which is kind of funny. I believe, does the Charge Shot do more now that you have Ultimate Buster? Ultimate Buster is a permanent default mid or like fully charged level 1 shot. Yep. So I think it would do 7 on Berkana.
I think it just does the same amount of damage as any charge shot would to any boss. It's just the idea that because the damage table is so weird in between the charge shot on bosses in this game. Like it technically does do more damage to enemies, but yeah, I don't know whose idea it was to do that.
I mean, we'll see right here, because honestly, I have never thought to use Ultimate Buster on Berkana. Mainly because in 100% we can't.
Well then, at least we got the checkpoint, so you know what? Fine, fair play
yes,
there.
This is actually the last checkpoint in the game. So if you beat the game from here on out, there is no more checkpoint saves. So, you just gotta be careful and safe.
I will. I mean, it shouldn't be all that bad, because at the very least what I can use is the autosave, at least in this case, but then in the next level I will, again, take a safety game over in order to ensure that I will have my lives back, because otherwise just trekking on and taking on the full load of whatever comes next, yeah. But this is Berkana. She likes to use the alphabet against us, and we don't like that. We don't like the alphabet being used against us. Focus, explain why.
Explain why. Well, the alphabet is used against us. We don't like the alphabet being used against us. We don't like the alphabet being used against us. Focus, explain why. Well, the alphabet is used against us. We don't like the alphabet being used against us. Focus, explain why. we're on VeggieTales right now. Hello, everyone. I'm your Christian friend, Tomato.
Oh no!
Today we're going to talk about A and B. A is the first letter of the alphabet, which of course makes it God's favorite and Berkana's favorite as well. The A button will bounce on the floor, and the B button, of course, will shoot in the air and directly target you. If you get hit by any of these things, you will lose the ability to that button. The A button you can destroy, but the B button you cannot. And there you go. My favorite episode of VeggieTales. So that's Berkana. It's really simple. If Berkana sweeps down to attack you, though, she will reset her position up top, and which means you can't jump to reach her. So fortunately, that didn't happen to you, and we're good. And now we're going, Ah!
It all
Sigma!
makes sense now.
Dad!
Water is wet.
Yes, so Sigma was all behind it all along. This is only shown in extreme mode. Yeah. This is not a surprise to anyone. So now we're gonna have to fight him. And we're going to mostly do that as Zero. Because Zero's jump slashes now do 6 damage with everything equipped. And the boss rush order, generally speaking, I would recommend, if you have X here to begin with, start with Octopus, because that means you can switch to Rayclaw and then switch to Zero and then don't have to, like, switch back at any point.
Right. And then Octopus
So this is mainly
to
a
the
Zero.
left.
Octopus is far left.
Right. Okay. Calamari round 2. Hope you all are hungry for seconds.
Woo!
And by the way,
Yes,
because
but-
we have a busted Buster, we also now have an even more busted Saber.
Yes, 6 HP of damage every time, which means that's actually less effective to use Zero Final. Just because. So at this point in time, there really isn't much else to do or say for the next 3 minutes or so. It's just the same bosses we've already seen. So if the host has anything they'd like to add at this point, feel free to. We'll be here for a little bit.
Alrighty. Well, we haven't received any donations yet, but there seems to be quite a bit of time here, so send them in and I'll read them before this couple minutes is up. While you're looking to donate, here's what you could be donating for. Right now, there is the Clue bonus round that is coming up. There's still about 2 hours left on that, but it needs $114 to meet that incentive. Be sure to donate towards that. And then a little bit after that, about 3 hours from now, the Untitled Goose game will have a glitch exhibition bonus run, or a bonus showcase. We're about $43 away from that. So we're doing pretty well, but we definitely need some more before we can hit these incentives. So make sure that you keep donating, and we appreciate all the donations that we're getting. And in addition to that, you can put it on a poll and a target at the same time. And the only poll that's running currently is the Crash versus Coco bid war for Crash 3 at the end of the day. Currently, Coco is in the lead with $229 compared to Crash at $215.
Awesome. Honestly, if I had to put one of my donations toward one of the two, I honestly like Coco. She's a very I like geniuses like her. She's just a fun character. Yeah.
I want to go stupid, everyone. Go stupid with me. Vote for Crash. Go dumb mode. Have no brain cells. Also, you got like the worst pattern for Volt Catfish. I hate that pattern.
Yeah, that move is the worst and is one of the reasons why dealing with him.
over there?
Yeah, he can suck you in.
For the corner
He's busted apparently. He says no to the rules of physics, logic, and everything else, and that's why I hate Volt Catfish with a passion. Thank you for serving some more seafood, Zero.
Yeah, we are salty boys right now. I don't know what I'm saying. Anyways, yeah, no, this is looking like a really tight run. I'm excited to see, but I will mention very specifically, the final boss of this, if you thought I was saying the flashing light warning and being like, oh, it's a Mega Man game, it flashes a lot. I'm being dead serious with the final boss. If you are photoepileptic, or have photosensitivity of any sort, please heed my warning. This final boss will flash a lot. Every single time we attack it, it will flash. So be careful.
Indeed.
We just finished the boss attack. We're going to go through this next section here, and we're going to try to defeat Sigma. He has 2 phases. The first phase and the second phase actually take 4 hits to complete. Exactly 4 hits. With a specific move. And that move is
the
a
air
move we've
dash
never used
slash.
before. The air dash slash. Double tapping A and pressing slash is a very specific move that for some reason Sigma is weak to here. So, flashing lights warning from here on out until the end of the run. Time will be called as soon as the last hit is done on the phase 2 boss. But Star Wars here, or Wolverine here is not hard. Just air dash slash 4 times.
But he does do a lot of damage when you make contact with him, and I have died to him at least once or twice, so yeah. Alright,
Okay,
luckily
last phase.
you get full heals moving into phase 2, so that's generous. Here we go.
So Sigma here has three different modes. For some reason, I think this just is a bit of something broken in the code. Yellow is only weak to X. Pink or red is only weak to 0. Blue is also only weak to X.
Technically,
I don't know why.
Yeah, no, yellow can technically be hit by both, but it is a chore to hit that as 0. Apparently,
Is it just too high?
it's very high. I don't know. I don't remember getting it. Just heed my word for it, though. Technically, you're supposed to be able to hit yellow as both.
But it's just the hitbox is 0. Just as far as I've been aware, I've never gotten it to hit as both.
I think one more hit and that should be it. Or maybe 2 more.
2 more.
2 more.
Yeah,
2
one
more.
of those was a jump slash.
Oh no!
Be careful with this attack. That's why. Unfortunately, that means you have to start from phase 1 again, but it's okay. You have another life for that.
He juked me hard on that one. I thought he was gonna come to.
I also thought he was going to come in center. Usually he does. But it's all good. It's all good.
Yep, I know.
We're going to do that again. Air dash 4 times.
There we go. All right, round 2, electric boogaloo.
And then round 2. Come on, we can do this.
Soda up.
Yeah, so again, main thing we want to concentrate on is hitting things as X while in the yellow mode. By the way, the reason why we buy Ultimate Buster is because that is the only thing that he's weak to. He's only weak to higher level charge shots as X. Using regular Buster shots does nothing against him. And so you need to be cautious. Gonna go here, you shoot from afar again. If he stays in place, it tends to be better because that means there's no that transition or the reduced transition where he's invulnerable. Very nice swap. By the way, forgot to mention this earlier. If you swap between characters, you must. He's actually 0. He's 0 now, but the color hasn't changed. He's 0. That's 0's patterns.
I've never seen that before. What?
0 is actually better to get. If you get him weak to 0, that means you actually don't have to swap and it's quicker. Yeah, his color is still 0, by the way.
Yeah.
It's weird. All right, time's coming up soon.
Come on. Oh, he's gonna charge.
You could do this.
Time! That is a 4-minute PB.
4-minute PB and 12 minutes above estimate. I'll just below estimate. He did better, I promise. That was great. Congrats on that PB. I'm proud to see it. I'm really proud to see it, honestly. Well done. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Your practice in extreme mode has really been paying off, I can tell. That was a very smooth run, to be honest.
Absolutely. Thing about me is I started with the X and 0 mission runs, so moving into Extreme was a very interesting challenge, but I'm happy to see it pay off in ways that, ways that we all know and can see. But we're not quite done yet. Quill, I believe my incentive was met?
Yes, the boss attack, is that what it was called?
That is correct. So there's a very special thing that you unlock the moment that you beat Extreme for the first time. And the nice thing about it is, on one end, you get to do all of those bosses again, or we get to face the Mavericks that appeared in Extreme 1. So I'm just going to do that. I'm going to go full on armor, by the way, because if you hold select, that'll happen. Let's go ahead and reset the timer though on stream overlay so that we can do that one properly. And whenever we are ready, we'll get down to it. So
I will say something quickly. I actually need to head off to do something. I'm very, very sorry that I can't stay for longer. But thank you for having me, of course, as a commentator here. Thank you to everyone who's watched and donated. I really have appreciated it, and I'm glad that we could show off this game. Congrats on the PV, Tempest. You did a wonderful job. You made me proud, and I'm looking forward to seeing you get this time down even further. I bet you can probably get 37 easy.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you for taking the time to join me today, and let's do it again sometime soon.
Of course, dude. Take it easy, everyone.
All right, let's, without further ado, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, here we go. So, I need to go left, and then we enter Spark Mandrel. So here's the interesting thing about this boss rush mode. We actually have every single weapon at our disposal, but also every single part as well. So I'm actually going to equip the following parts, and basically we're going to treat this as if we're doing normal boss rush all together. So this ought to be interesting, but yeah, technically each of the Xtreme 1 bosses do have their own newer weaknesses that base around the toolkit seen in here. So it's with that in mind that the objective is to take on the bosses as effectively as possible while also keeping in mind what works better. For instance, we have Wheel Gator here from X2, and he likes to sink into that red Fanta, would you like to call that? Yeah, probably. And Zero's Drill Crush can actually hit him when he's sunken in there, like so. Of course, I still got hit a bit, but yeah, that do happen sometimes. And I'm pretty sure that Drill Crush is his weakness too, so how about that? Something to keep in mind as well, by the way, is both X and Zero have full health bars in this mode. Something that you can't normally see unless you get every single heart tank for a certain character, because something we did not mention is that only X or Zero can get the benefit of the life up, but not both. So yeah, that's Armored Armadillo, and knock on wood, he is weak to the electric weapon, but once we do that once, we can just rail on him with any attack while he's going all rolling out and stuff, and well, that just takes care of him. Simple as that. This also explains why Octopus could lose his tentacles, because that too is a thing you can do in X1 with the weapon from Boomer Kwanger. I was using the Maverick Hunter X pronunciation. But that in mind, we now have Flame Stag, and he is weak to Launch Octopus's weapon, which in this game is the Marine Tornado. I neglected to mention that not all weapons in Xtreme 2 are carbon copies of their original counterparts. So it's really interesting that way, but yeah, no. The fact that this guy likes to go up, 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 we can make him go down, down, down with a simple vertical attack, and just like that, he's, well, yeah. Then we have Magna Centipede. His weakness is the Bomb Beast, so by hitting him once with it will cause his little centipede tail to go down, and so now we get to hit him some more. This does take away some of his attacks, similar to Launch Octopus, but he can still teleport, so yeah. Not much else to say except that. But then I will eventually find the capsule of Storm Eagle. That's the funny part. I'm actually doing this completely off of memory, so who knows when we'll get to him. But here's Chill Penguin. He likes to do the blizzard thingy, but knock on wood, he's weak to the fire weapon. So it actually makes sense too, considering that it was Flame Mammoth's weapon that he's weak to, and well, we did face Flame Mammoth in the game proper, which technically is one of those exceptions where X and Zero's techniques are normally different from one another. That was very close, by the way. So, in the case of Flame Mammoth, they both get Fire Wave, but then I mentioned how Neon Tiger gave Zero Rising and X the Ray Claw. So yeah, just one of those interesting things. I'm gonna get those health pickups. We're almost done though with this, and time will be on the Capsule Exit. We have just entered Storm Eagle. We want no dives. I will count how many dives he does though, if he does do any. Let's see what we got. I'm actually gonna zero final him. Alright. That's my last zero final. And no dives. Let's go. I do like to do a little count based on Sesame Street's count, though, whenever that does happen, after a certain speedrun of Mega Man X. And then finally is Morph Moth. Morph Moth is, I think, weak to the fire weapon, but it's more of a soft weakness. At least I'm pretty sure it's just the larva phase. But yeah, not much to say about him except butterfly go down. Wait, no, he's a moth. He's not a butterfly. All right, time's on the capsule. So once I get to there, that will be time. 4 minutes, 46 seconds. Not too bad. Definitely way underestimate. The reason I gave it a bit of a higher estimate, which was technically 10 minutes, was because if you notice that I only have one life in this mode. So if I were to die, I would have had to start all over again, and that was just purely for safety, but we did not need that whatsoever. And that's it. That's Mega Man Xtreme 2. That's pretty much all I have to offer. And yeah, I would very much like to thank the Speed Docs crew for having me here for the first time. I've always been interested in their events, but I never always remembered to submit, so the fact that I did this time felt great. And yeah, I know that one of the hosts, or one of the Speed Docs members, was it CJ? I don't know. One of them was really interested in seeing this game, so I hope I did your interest justice. And with that said, yeah, so if you'd like to follow Focus, he has a Twitter at Focus Site. His Twitch is also Focus Site. I would definitely recommend following him. He does quite a few interesting speedruns, including being a very top level runner for Sonic 06 silver speedrunning. As for me, I am TempestMask1000 over here on Twitch and at YouTube, so if you want to follow either of my accounts there, and you can also check me out at TempestSteve on Twitter. Thank you all for watching this run. Thank you all for supporting Save the Children. I can see we are currently over $4,500. That is just incredible. Tell you what, Quill, if you'd like to get those donations out of the way, let's go ahead and do it right now.
Yeah, let's do it. We got 2 donations during the end of the main run, and then one during the bonus run. We got one from Mercury Bro for $14.69.
Nice.
With no comment, thank you. And then another one from Anonymous for $13.31 to round off that 69 back to a .00.
Good
so
stuff.
Take that as advice, folks. Donate random amounts in the cents column, and it'll make somebody angry enough to donate to fix it.
You'll love to see it. All right, well,
yeah,
we're gonna.
Tempest, thank you so much for doing this run, and we really appreciate it. It was a great run, and congrats on the PB.
Thank you very much. All right, everyone. Until we meet next time, for now, I wish you all a wonderful day, afternoon, evening, or whatever time it is wherever you are, with peace and love. Ciao, amici.